Good morning. My name is Jeff Tupa. I am the immediate past president of the Westerville Education Foundation. We have three other board members here with us this morning. I wanted to introduce them very quickly to you. Mark Fauble, our treasurer, Fawaz Hamwi, our assistant treasurer, and Leslie Thompson, our secretary. The Westerville Education Foundation has been around for 21 years, and up until now, our main mission has been to provide grants to employees of the district to implement innovative programming, provide new technology, and support the educational excellence that currently exists in our schools. This fall, we're excited to announce new programs that we'll be launching through our website. They're known as Adopt a Classroom, Fund a Project, and Community Opportunities. With the short time I have with you this morning, I wanted to take this opportunity to introduce these programs to you so that you'd all hear them together. Adopt a Classroom is a module that's going to appear first. It targets donated funds directly into your classroom and to service providers to help cover the cost of items such as unique classroom supplies, student incentive programs, student programs and events, and classroom subscriptions. The foundation wants to help either reduce the amount of money that you are currently spending out of pocket on your classrooms or give you funds to do even more. Teachers and other licensed professionals in the district will have a link to around 300 sources of social media to assist with this. By using these options, you can share the program via email, Facebook, Twitter, etc., and give people an option of donating $10, $25, $50, $75, or $100 right into your classroom. You can promote this opportunity as little or as much as you would like to. For those who choose to spend even a few minutes each month, you'll undoubtedly see the benefits of the program. Fund a Project is the next module, and it will allow you to raise funds for projects or larger classroom items. For example, if you have a project you've always wanted to do but you didn't have funds for, you could set up the project through our website, use these social media options, and try and seek funding for the project. There will be a two-step approval process to make sure that your project is in line with district policies and procedures. Once the funds are raised, we'll cut a check to the schools for your project. Our board will actively support this program to assist in connecting you with local businesses for donations, people who can help with in-kind donations, and finding individuals who have a passion for your project. It's our version of a crowdsourcing site like Kickstarter. The Adopt a Classroom module is going to launch at the end of September, and Fund a Project should be live shortly thereafter. Community Opportunities, which is geared more towards in-kind donations and support, will launch later this year. Our goal is to get these new tools into your hands as soon as possible, but we realize you have a school year to get underway. We've been working closely with the central office administration, principals, and teachers from around the district and the Westerville Parent Council to help make these programs a success for the entire district. We've even convinced Westerville North science teacher Jeff Bracken, who also happens to be on our board, to help us with some training videos so that you can learn just how easy it will be to use these features. Our marketing campaign, as you may have seen as you were coming in on some of the boards that were on easels, will be known as GAP, kind of like the retail store that I'm sure a lot of you shop in. G stands for our traditional grants, A will stand for Adopt a Classroom, and P is going to stand for projects, which includes Fund a Project and Community Opportunities. You'll start seeing materials in the school buildings and around the community for these initiatives, and our hope is that you'll participate in these programs to help make the schools an even better place. An outline of these projects will come to you in the near future from Greg Vibrands, who's the district's Executive Director of Communications and Technology and also a liaison to our foundation. So I'd like to thank you for your time this morning and all that you do for the children in the district. On behalf of our foundation board, our current president, Courtney Wagner, we wish you the best of luck for a successful school year. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to introduce Rhonda Gilpin, the WEA president.
Good morning. Let's try that again. Good morning. Welcome back. For those of you who might not know me, I'm Rhonda Gilpin, the president of WEA, which is the Westerville Education Association. I would like to talk about some of the many things we do as educators that show our focus on the student. It is known that we teach and assess our students, sometimes too much assessing that we don't have control over. But we really do much more than that. We put Band-Aids on boo-boos and tie shoes. We purchase school supplies for students who don't have them. We listen to dreams. We wipe away tears. We open minds to the many possibilities that lie before them. We guide in the process of problem solving, whether when working on a math problem, or solving a dispute with a friend, or trying to decide what college to go to. We are there to help them problem solve. We celebrate the many successes, both big and small. We help to strengthen the small motor and the large motor skills that many of us take for granted. We create an atmosphere of tolerance and help to show that it's okay to be different. We help with prom, athletic events, and clubs. We acknowledge hopes and fears. We counsel, sometimes both the students and their parents. We make our classrooms inviting, both in the physical appearance and in the atmosphere. Yes, we teach our students how to read and write, the proper way to conduct an experiment, learn about history, and even how to speak other languages. But we do so much more. And most importantly, we make a difference in a child's life. Remember on those tougher days, as you're preparing lessons or grading papers or getting ready to face an active group of students, you have an impact on those students' lives. Have a great year. Mine's short and sweet. Have a great year. Continue focusing on your students. And I would now like to introduce Wanda Myers, who is the president of Wesa.
Good morning. I am Wanda, and Wesa is the Westerville Education Support Staff Association. We are comprised of secretaries, clerks, health aides, ESL paraprofessionals, and study hall monitors. We also have a group of secretaries in various departments outside the school building, and these include the Treasurer's Office, the Special Education Department, Health and Safety, ESL, IT, Maintenance, Custodial, Food Services, Transportation, and of course, Cherie, the great receptionist at the administrative offices. At the building level, on a daily basis, WESA members are working hard doing the following: greeting each and every person who walks through the door and answering those phones with a smile on their face, assisting all students, staff, and parents who come to the buildings in whatever way is appropriate. At some schools, this could literally mean stopping what they are doing 100 times or more in a given day. Making sure there is a qualified sub in the classroom if a teacher is absent or has to leave early. Ordering classroom supplies, textbooks, and workbooks. Keeping accurate inventory of those textbooks and assisting with checking them in and out every year. Assisting parents and teachers alike with Power Teacher and Power School questions. Assisting with grades and scheduling. Monitoring lunch detentions and students sent to the office for discipline reasons. Assisting with health needs of the students. Keeping the office equipment working so the teachers can use them when needed. Providing daily attendance and keeping track of students who arrive late or leave early, making sure that each student's whereabouts is known throughout the day. Providing additional support for students whose first language is not English, and provide resources to help those ESL teachers interact positively with those students. Encourage students to complete class assignments during study hall, providing individual or small group tutoring to help them more fully grasp the concepts that are taught in the classroom. Outside the school setting, but still playing a major role in making sure our students have a safe learning environment, are secretaries who are providing services to help maintain a safe and comfortable learning and working environment in your buildings, for example, your heating and air conditioning, making sure the building is in good repair. Making sure that our students get back and forth to school safely on the school bus, as well as field trips, athletic, and academic events, just to name a few. Making sure the free and reduced lunch program is implemented and that all our students have a healthy breakfast and lunch available to them when they get to school. Making sure that all the new students, and as we know that's a revolving door, happens daily, get into that point of sale system so that they have a positive experience the first time they go to get their breakfast or lunch. Making sure that staff and student computers are accessible and in working condition. Ordering assistive technology and supplies for the special education classroom teachers, coordinating home instruction tutors who are unable to for students who are unable to attend the district classroom, and then also all the testing materials and supplies needed for this the speech therapists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, etc. As you can see, Wesa members play a valuable role each and every day to make sure that our students get to and from their classrooms safely, they have a safe environment in the classroom, they have access to healthy meals, they receive their medications when needed, they receive the special services that they need on a daily basis. So thank you to all of our Wesa members, and welcome back to everyone. Do that. I am proud to introduce Ron Duckworth, OPSI 138 President.
Thank you, Wanda. I bring you greetings from Westerville Central, my base of operations. I'm Ron Duckworth. I represent Local 138, the district support team that includes custodians, food service workers, grounds and maintenance employees, and our warehouse staff. We will be ready to roll on August 13th when our doors open to approximately 14,500 students. The custodial department maintains 24 buildings totaling more than 2 million square feet. We make every effort to provide a clean, safe, and healthy environment for our students and staff. Many people think that summer is a time of rest and relaxation for school employees, not for custodians, because summer is one of our busiest times of the year. Custodial service employees spend their so-called break by deep cleaning each building, which includes some really fun activities like stripping floors of old wax and applying a fresh new coat of wax. Those sparkling floors are pretty miraculous considering how many feet will walk on them every single day. Throughout the year, our custodians do much more than just clean and empty trash. They also tie shoelaces, open milk cartons, and lockers. That's in the high schools. We interact with staff and students and even those with special needs. We are a vital and much appreciated part of every building. Our food service staff served nearly 9,000 lunches and some 340,000 breakfast meals during the 2013-2014 school year. And they did so with smiling faces. They even served meals to students over the summer. They also did an amazing job of staying on top of changes in the federal school lunch program and keeping us in compliance with our rules and regulations that guide their work. Food service is self-funded, and by law, any excess funds must be reinvested in the food service area. As a result, Westerville South High School, Linden Middle School, and Amherst Elementaries got facelifts this summer. And students in those schools will return this week to a brand new look in their cafeterias. Food service will be serving fresh produce bars at all elementary schools and salad bars at the middle and high schools. I applaud the efforts of our food service staff. Empty bellies are a distraction. Bellies full of healthy meals help kids concentrate and remain focused in class. Thanks to our highly organized warehouse staff, students and teachers will also have all the food and supplies they need in order to begin the school year on a successful note. The delivery service they provide from facility to facility will ensure that everyone has what they need when they need it. Last but not least, our maintenance staff in Local 138 are often invisible, behind-the-scenes heroes who keep our buildings cool in the summer and heated in the winter. They also repair walls, fix electrical issues, and solve plumbing problems. They make sure our driveways are plowed and our sidewalks are cleared after snowfalls to allow teachers and students and staff safe passage. Last winter, their job was particularly challenging thanks to the polar vortex, which brought Central Ohio unprecedented bone-chilling weather. We're hoping these types of temperatures stay up north this winter, with the polar bears and the wolverines. Right now, our grounds crew is busy mowing lawns and sprucing up landscaping around each building by planting trees and flowers. When people arrive to classes on Wednesday, we want them to take pride in their school and enter comfortable classrooms and support their learning. Local 138 is proud of the role we play in making the school district one of the best in the state of Ohio. and one of the best in the entire country. Most of our work year-round, and most of us work year-round, we like to think of ourselves as a well-oiled machine that works together to make a positive difference for students and teachers. On behalf of our members, we wish everyone a tremendously successful 2014-15 school year. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Shelley Smith. I didn't forget.
Good morning. Westerville Transportation, along with our drivers and our mechanics, like to view our school bus as an extension of our classroom. Although students may not be learning math or science, some will use that time to catch up on homework, while others use it as time to decompress from school while building relationships with their friends. Westerville City bus drivers are the first district employee our students see every morning and the last one they see upon leaving school each day. The vision of our department is to create a positive environment that is both safe and secure. Our mechanics work long hours in the summer, making sure our buses, 120 of them, meet and pass the annual safety inspection, while drivers attend additional classes learning safety and defensive driving skills. It is our goal to ensure students arrive to and from school each day in a safe and timely manner. We look forward to another successful, productive, and amazing 2014-2015 school year serving Westerville City Schools and our students. Get ready, because we're ready to bring them to you. And now I'd like to introduce our superintendent, Dr. John Kellogg.
He can play all he wants. I am not going to dance. You don't want to see that. Good morning. You and I, we're going to have problems. We'll send you to Hilliard with Randy. I was sitting here thinking this morning, my thanks, first of all, to the various leadership folks who came this morning and spoke. We all know how intimidating a large group of people can be. How about the first day of work and talking educators who are anxious to get back in the room? So I thank them for taking the time today. And I thought this focus on the classroom, really what we should have been about today is focus on the classroom. It takes a team. So you listen this morning, you hear from parent leadership about their commitment to what you do in the classroom, how they want to support what you do. You heard from business community members, WEF, who's out there beating the bushes, raising funds to put directly into your classroom through their new programs. You heard from all of our association group leadership, and every single one of them, my head was nodding because what resonated was they are about the work you do in the classrooms, and they take great pride in that, and they do great supportive things to make that happen. Dr. Nestor Baker mentioned some of the things we did last year to set the stage and get the runway started for our next takeoff. She talked about our strategic plan. She talked about the learning and teaching roadmap. These are things we've put in place to support you and what you do in the classroom. We have challenges coming at us when we start talking about assessments and curriculum and evaluation, all those pieces. But I know when we put our team together and we focus on what we're trying to do, we're going to be okay through all those pieces. So I don't sit up late at night worrying about those pieces. So we talk about this focus on the, let me back up. I did this poorly. I'm going to back up, and here's my first mistake of the year. In all of the introductions, the one we left off is the one who signs our checks. So with great pleasure and a round of applause, let's recognize our treasurer, Bart Griffith. The other piece that sets us in a great course as we move forward is that 5-year forecast, and Bart and his team have done a fantastic job to setting the stage to put us in a good position for a number of years with our community. So thank you to them for that hard work. So as we talk about focus on the classroom, I want to kind of provide some definition, provide some direction about what that might mean. What do we mean when we say focus on the classroom? And more importantly, from my seat to yours, what is that we're doing at the district level that aligns and makes sure that that's what we're focused on? And that's what I want to kind of bring my comments to this morning. I'm going to kind of go up and come back down and go back up again in terms of that perspective, from policymakers all the way down to what it looks like in the classroom, and then back up again about what we're doing as a district. So that's kind of the train of thought I'm going to go through here. Before I do that, I'm going to show you a video. You know, all of this discussion about park and Common Core and instruction, part of it gets at real-life situations and how kids bring their skills into the workplace. So I want to share a video with you this morning. I'm going to give it a preface. This is a sales manager and one of his salespeople, and they're talking about the number of salesmen they need, and they're going to do a little math to meet their quota for the number of the vacuum cleaners they're going to sell. Now, to some of you folks, the two guys on the screen are going to be completely foreign. You've never seen them before. That's for the young folks in the room. For the old people like me, you may be watching these guys. So if you bear with me for a moment and keep your fingers crossed that all the technology works, I'd like to share this video with you. Maybe I will do a song and dance. You know, at 6:30 this morning, it worked perfectly. Just like a lesson plan in your classroom, right? It'll be the projection bulb that goes off right at the start of class. I'm not going to start from this. Should I go ahead and click? All right, so here's what we'll do. We'll skip the video. Lesson planning on the fly. The gist of it is 13 times 7 is 28. Now, I don't care how new the math is, 13 times 7 is never 28. And he goes through a couple iterations. He does it by division, he does it by multiplication, and he does it by addition. And all three times, he proves to the sales manager that 13 times 7 is 28. And it just kind of gets at how frustrating it can be for the learner and the teacher in the classroom when things aren't right. And that's the gist. So we lose that one. You want to take one more shot at it? They're a determined bunch. Meantime, if your mug's on the screen, we'll move on. So let's talk about this. This is what I call the accountability disconnect. This is part of the frustration on a large scale. Somewhere out there are policymakers. This can be ODE, this can be legislators, this can be superintendents, this can be boards. And over here is community members. And in my perspective right now, and I heard a little bit of that here today, I heard that from Lisa from PTO particularly, this whole idea of this disconnect between what the community wants and what the policymakers want. And you feel that in the classroom every day. Because here's what policymakers are interested in. It's all the measurement stuff and evaluation stuff. Each and every day. Here's what our community through strategic planning said was important. These are some wordles we put together from their words. And you can see the words. Nowhere up there do you see OAA, OGT, park, new standards, evaluation. You don't see it up there. You see words about community, support, students, technology, engage. Those are what are important to our community members. The over 300 community members that participated in strategic planning last year. And so that resonates with us as educators. The difference between this and this is where we sit. We know those test scores are important, but to get there, this is the important stuff. And that's the disconnect that we feel that creates so much stress in our work. And most importantly, This is where we're at. This is what walks through your door every day. This diverse group of kids who from kindergarten on up are trying to get to this moment. And they don't care about OAA and OGT and evaluations and Common Core and PARC. What they care about is support, caring, nurturing, growth, extracurriculars. That's what they're interested in. That's their hook. And we miss that sometimes. I want you to look at a couple of figures. This is some numbers on the youth in Franklin County, and I stole this. Dr. Nestor Baker shared a document with me. I stole this from there. Didn't steal. I cited this from there. That's the appropriate term. And this accounts for about 284,000 students in Franklin County, school-age children. And this is some data on the kids in Franklin County. And it's a little disconcerting at times. But these numbers are these kids. In these kids are these numbers. The poverty rate of minority students, the poverty rate of white students. And look at the bottom one. In 2012 in Franklin County, in the suburbs, 20% of the students were poor. In the suburbs, that's us. We have about a 33% free and reduced lunch rate. So these are the stresses on kids. The interesting thing about this is these are stresses that people measure every day in Franklin County. You know the other ones that kids walk in the door with. Families that have become dysfunctional. Alcoholism in families. Families that seem to be doing well on the surface but aren't doing well underneath. Mental illness. All those other pieces that aren't up there that affect kids that walk in your door. Sometimes they're long-term stressors like their family's been in poverty for years. Sometimes they're short-term stressors. Things that just happen then. Just becoming a teenager is one, and dealing with that and self-esteem. That's for all the middle school parents out there. So why is this important? I came across this statement, and this was pretty powerful for me. You know, because for years, and I still hear it in education talk in the community and amongst ourselves, we talk a lot about income levels, socioeconomic status. We talk about minority students, right? Those are descriptors of people. Those are correlations to student success in the classroom. They are not cause and effect. Being poor, being minority, being from a disadvantaged family doesn't mean you're not capable of learning. And we know that because we've seen lots of kids overcome that. What really affects cognitive function is stress. That's what has the impact. It's not those other conditions. It's the stress of those conditions that do that. And what does that create? It creates a revolving door in society. I'm large scale again, right? The revolving door being, if I'm in a poor environment, and if these are my conditions, I don't have a whole lot of choices, and that creates stress in my life. And then that creates problems with health and functioning, and that inhibits my opportunities. I'm back to staying in poor environments. That's the cycle that we're trying to break. That's the cycle that education is trying to break, helping kids out of those conditions. I don't think any kid chose to come into the world in those conditions. They got thrust there without any choice. Some of our folks have done some work with Bruce Perry and looking at children, and he talks about coping skills and what makes a child resilient. Two of these are things we don't have any control over. We don't have any control over the temperament. That's a genetic thing, things that happen during pregnancy to children that affect their stress level and their learning ability. There's attuned child caregiving. What's it like at home? How does the family handle stress, etc.? The piece that we have control over is this one. We do have a role here in healthy attachments, in the nurturing, sustaining relationships. I want you to change your frame of reference for a second. Because I was doing this to myself the other day. I was thinking about all the children, all the youth I've worked with who had those typical characteristics that I knew meant there were stressors in their life that meant they were probably going to struggle at school. And then I remembered some of the kids I had over the years who came from families that all the conditions were such that they shouldn't have those pieces. Kid from an upper class family comes into school, screws it all up, principals know these kids, right? Teachers, you know these kids. You look at it, and go, I don't get it. He's coming from the kind of background and experience that says to me he should be successful. And when you start to work with those kids, what do you normally find? Somewhere in that family is a stressor. It's not obvious like some of the other ones we always talk about, but somewhere in that family there's a stressor that's causing that kid to be less successful. And these healthy attachments are really important to that. How do we overcome? Why? Because relationships have a power to heal. They're a buffer against those stressors. We all know that. You reach out to people when you're in stress. You don't try and isolate yourself from folks. It doesn't do you any good. You reach out and you try and feel good about where you're at. And that's what we do with kids. That's what Rhonda was referring to with kids. I heard us talking about tying shoes, wiping tears, opening milk cartons. That's what we do. We establish relationships with these kids so they can be successful. Do you know this one? 20% of our youth lack caring adult. And at-risk kids are disproportionately more so. That's what's walking in our doors every day. What about schools? We like to believe schools are places where we promote healthy relationships, we make them feel good about themselves. We do that, but the fact of the matter is sometimes we don't do that very well, and we do things that get in the way of that. And that's our challenge, is to find the barriers we create to those kids that reduce their ability to be successful in school, reduce their opportunities for healthy relationships, reduce their sense of building self-esteem, reduce their confidence, get in the way of what they're trying to do. This is what we need to focus on, making sure we're removing those barriers and putting in place those things that develop positive assets in kids, that make them better at what they're trying to do. So it gets to instruction. How does this all relate to what goes in the classroom? Because, you can't spend all your time in nice auditoriums having recognition ceremonies and handing out certificates for perfect attendance and for being nice kids. We don't have the time. We don't have the luxury of time. So how does it build into the daily work of what we do in terms of instructional practice? Let's take a look at what the research says. This is the article I sent out. I won't ask if you did or not. This is the article I sent out on what the research says about student engagement. Some pieces in here that caught me, and hopefully caught you. One, we knew that. Engaged students learn better, right? The problem isn't that we know that. The problem is sometimes, what is it to be an engaged learner? Is that 25 kids doing a worksheet? Is it 25 kids paying attention to the lecture? What does it mean for a student to be really engaged in their learning is the true question. And what is instructional practice at? When you really ask yourselves, is this kid engaged? Does it go beyond the superficial and get at the deep? That's really the challenge. And that's the hardest part of teacher planning and instructional planning, is getting that really at the engagement piece. But it leads to increased performance, persistence, and satisfaction. That's what the research says. We know that. What does the research say about teachers? Students who perceive teachers as, there they are, caring, with high expectations, report that they're more engaged in school. The combination of caring and high expectations, they feel more engaged. They're not worried about working hard. They don't worry about working hard if they know you care about them. If they don't think you care about them, they may not be that interested in doing the work for you. And if all you're doing is caring about them and not really pushing them, they're not really engaged. It's got to be that balance. And this is the hard balance sometimes for folks. The difference between caring and rigor. We have these discussions. So these are things we need to think carefully about. But the research says, caring teachers with high expectations, kids feel engaged. That's the kids saying they feel engaged. This is some research from Goodwin and Hubble. It talks about 4 things we can do to make kids feel engaged. Engaging every lesson, interacting in meaningful ways, using feedback to encourage effort. How many times have you gotten a B+ in a paper and said, nice job? I have no idea why it was a nice job. Or the worst one, D-, not very good. I have no idea why I got a D-. And I had a couple of those. Safety and respect. These are the pieces we know in designing instructional practice that lead to student engagement and make kids feel good about being in our classroom. My power users know this one real well. The folks working the teaching and learning roadmap Those of you who did DAC, remember I came and talked about it last year. This is the rubric in their Learn rubric. This is what we said instructional practice should look like. An interesting thing is, it doesn't stray very far from the research we just looked at. We're talking about it centered on the kids. There's the word, engagement, rigorous and relevant. Look at this. There's the nurturing and caring. We have said to ourselves that's what it should look like. We know the research. We know what it's supposed to look like. We just got to go forward and do it, put the conditions in place to do it. So we've gone from the problem with policymakers and community disconnect to what the research says about kids and where they're at, to what we know about instructional practice, what we need to be doing in classrooms. Let's talk for a moment about what we're doing as a district to align. So we have a strategic plan that's driving us. Report card is important, but it's a small part of what we do. It's the measurement of student outcomes on tests from the state. And I agree, there's too many of them and too many coming. Our strategic plan represents what our community wants, and that's where we need to be. We have the next piece we're putting in place around a strategic plan is we're starting to put that into action through a balanced scorecard. You'll see some more about this. The piece I want to share with you this morning, if you remember the strategic plan, there were 6 dimensions. The balance in this is if you don't focus on all of these, the system's out of balance. If all we do is spend our time on academic success, we may miss something in the financial side. We may miss something in the social-emotional piece. We may not be recruiting the right people. When these things are out of balance, the system isn't working right from a large perspective. So we're putting in place measurements and strategies around each of these to push our strategic plan into work through the balanced scorecard. And the one I want to show, because this is the one I think that's most interesting to people, is where we are with every student achieves academic success. Around that one, we have identified 2 objectives. These are not goals. These are long-term objectives. They're not SMART goals. They don't have percentages and times, etc. We'll be building those underneath those. The long-term thing we're trying to do is our goal, and this is the policymaker satisfaction, right? This is the report card satisfaction. A, B, and all the components of the report card. That's our objective number 1, long-term. Objective number 2 is about all the other pieces, making sure our kids are ready for the transition to the next grade level. That's what we're trying to do. Every 2nd grader ready for 3rd grade, every 6th grade ready for 7th grade, every 8th grader ready for 9th grade, and every 12th grader ready for what's out there when they're done. Ready for what's out there when they're done, college and career ready. That's what our objectives are. Underneath these, we'll build all kinds of strategies and measurements to make sure we're on target to move this forward. Same thing for each one of these. There'll be strategies and metrics that we need in place in order to move us forward.
First on CBS this morning.
So that's kind of the 3-mile-up view of what the policymakers want, the conflict that creates for us, some ideas about the kids we have that you know and the statistics and what it takes to make them successful, all kids successful, what that should look like in the classroom, how that reflects on what we're doing, and a little bit about what the district's doing to align some resources to make sure you can do those things in the classroom. I know you know those things. I'm not here telling you how to do your job. I'm here telling you I understand what your job is, and we want to put the resources in place to help you. One of the last pieces I want to share with you is this is a video of the 2014 National Teacher of the Year, Sean McComb out of Baltimore, 30 years old. Pretty remarkable. I want you to hear the piece on Sean and what he says about being a teacher. There'll be some intro for some news people, but I think it's worth watching.
First on CBS this morning, it is time to reveal the 2014 National Teacher of the Year. He is Sean McComb from Baltimore's Patapsco High School and the Center for the Arts. Chip Reed is in Washington, where this year's winner will be honored at the White House. Chip, good morning.
Well, good morning. Sean McComb is only 30 years old, which makes him one of the youngest Teachers of the Year ever. And he has just 8 years of experience in the classroom, but ask any of his students and they'll tell you that Mr. McComb is much more than their English teacher.
Listen for your figure's name so I can get these out to you. Princess Diana.
Sean McComb will do just about anything.
It had mold growing on top of some bacteria.
To get his students fired up about learning.
Do you want to hear the story of how it happened? Yes!
It's a big part of why at just 30 he has been named National Teacher of the Year.
Guys, nice job to all the presenters, really. Good job.
But that passion for education wasn't always there.
You were not necessarily the world's best student back when you were in school.
I wasn't. I was always a student with potential, but sometimes I didn't meet that potential. I had a lot of struggles in my home life. My parents both went through some periods of unemployment. My mother was an alcoholic, and our home life was challenging a lot of times. There was a lot of chaos.
The chaos started to calm when he found inspiration through two of his high school teachers.
They were compassionate for what was going on in my life, but at the same time, they knew that I needed to hold myself to high standards in order to get out of there and to make something of myself.
They saved you.
They absolutely saved me. I mean, there was darkness, and they shined a light into that darkness, and made me believe that I could do more, that I could be something. So you have a checklist. We have a goal, right?
Now he's paying it forward in his own classroom.
How would you describe your philosophy of teaching?
Kids before content and love before all. You know, I teach students. I don't teach English. I teach students English. And my first task is to make sure that they feel loved and cared for and safe to take risks.
McComb's teaching isn't confined to the classrooms and hallways. He pushes his students and uses his own troubled past to connect with those who might need a guiding light.
When I was going through my storms and my roller coaster, he was there every down and up.
At just 16, Brandy Batty had a child of her own. After being kicked out of her home, she had nowhere to turn.
You were going to quit school.
I was thinking about quitting school. I was thinking about taking the easy route. He just pushed me. He was like, nope, I'm not going to let you do it.
So he's more than a teacher.
A lot more.
How would you describe that? What is he beyond being a teacher?
He's like a hero, because without him, I don't think I would be sitting here today. I really wouldn't.
We want teachers to care about those kids, and that's what Sean does.
Patapsco High School Principal Craig Reed says Sean represents the best of what teachers can be.
It is really deeply felt compassion for students. It is every day trying to get better. Every day he teaches the students in his class as if they were his own. And that's what we all want as parents, as citizens.
Sean insists the award is not just for him, but for teachers across the nation who put heart and soul into their jobs.
I hope that they embrace me as their ambassador, because I love this profession. It changed my life, and I hope that I can use it to change others' lives as well.
Sean McComb will be at the White House tomorrow at a ceremony where the president will honor the finalists of the National Teacher of the Year competition. Gail?
All right, seems well-deserved. They said Sean McComb is 30, but he looks like he's 15. You can feel his passion, though. You can feel it.
Yeah. I'm so glad we did that story, because we need to recognize more of our teachers. And I think, Charlie, what you and I were reacting to is he said, I teach students, not English. Yeah, focus on the students.
You want that kind of teacher.
And to see that one example of a life that was changed because of the teacher.
Teacher moves you to tears. Go Sean McComb. Congrats.
I can lose the Abbott and Costello one, but I didn't want to lose that one today. You know, the cool thing is, I know that happens 1,000 times a day in our classrooms with our kids because of the work you do. And for that, I'm thankful. I want to share one last story with you. I was sitting Saturday getting this fine coif done here. Hair by Black & Decker. And on either side of me were two moms. And, you know, so what's the conversation on the Saturday before August 13th? And they don't have a clue who I am. I got my shorts on. I'm, you know, I wouldn't know whoever I was if I was in my suit. And they're having a conversation with the stylist, might be a stretch, but the person with the scissors. And, you know, it's the conversation. School. And the conversation was what teachers, what homework, struggles with English, the bus they were going to ride, the bus stop, what time the bus came, food, lunch, schedules, principals, teachers, the whole shooting match. Their involvement in whatever parent groups they had as part of that school. And so as I'm sitting there, and the cool thing that resonated with me was that's how important our work is to our families. That when it gets to the point of the starting line, the 13th, what you do every day on behalf of kids is extremely important to now over 14,700, because our numbers are up, students every day. So on behalf of our Board of Education, on behalf of all of the leadership that's here today, on behalf of the community, thank you for the work you do. I appreciate you taking time to be here today. You're free to go.